And now, our feature presentation.
I like it spooky.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast. I'm Brian.
I am Clint, and welcome to the horror adjacent episode from the movie we're covering to, at least for me, the poor segment, and to the news.
So on this episode of the news, I have three things that I wanted to talk about, and hopefully none of these are on Clint's radar. I was lucky enough to go see Five Nights at Freddy's 2 the Friday it came out. And the closest thing I can compare it to is that early Minecraft movie experience where people weren't going crazy, but it was a packed theater. There was 10 seats empty in the theater. Finley counted them. We had to sit down at the bottom close to the screen, and people were cheering and laughing and kind of just having a fun time. I made a video about it on our socials. I just had fun with it. Was it a great movie? Absolutely not. Would I go watch it 10, 15 more times? Maybe in the theater, but at home, do I need to own it on physical media? Absolutely not. But Finley and I had a fucking blast seeing it in the theater.
You're hearing more and more about those experiences. And like you say, this and then the Minecraft movie a few years ago, it was similar when I went and saw the Ghostbusters, not Afterlife, Frozen Empire, which I thought was a terrible movie. The theater was packed. And so it's so weird. I guess, we always knock Hollywood because they don't know what's going on. But talking about this specifically, how do you put your finger on the pulse of what is going to be successful and popular and bring people together?
Well, the news is, first, it's got a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care about that. There's movies I love that probably have way worse ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. It just broke the record for the highest opening for a post-Thanksgiving film. And the record was held by The Last Samurai from 2003, which is that a Tom Cruise movie?
I think so.
It made $56.5 million in the first 2 days, and that beats out the launch of Frozen 2.
Wow.
Like I said, I had a blast with it. We also see Zootopia, which is not horror, but that made a bunch of money too, and that was another packed theater. If you don't want to know any spoilers about Five Nights at Freddy, pause the episode, skip 10 seconds, 20 seconds. This is going to be a trilogy. There will be a part 3.
Oh, there has to be, even not based on the story, just based off the success you're telling me it's already had. I mean, money talks.
I think the problem is it's people that are going to see this that didn't play the game. There was a lot of young kids there, a lot of people 30 and under that play the game, that know the mythology of the game and of the series. That's what this is for.
Mythology is the key word because I'm aware of Five Nights at Freddy's. I've never seen Five Nights at Freddy's. Boots knows more about it than me. I don't think she's necessarily into the franchise, but she knows a lot about it. And so we were watching a trailer for it one night or something, and she said, "Oh, which story did they pick?" And I'm like, huh? And I just come to find out there's like all these different stories to the story. Yeah, they could go on with sequels forever.
Next thing, I'll just do this run through real quick. There's a story on iHorror.com, and it's some lesser known Christmas horror movies worth watching. It's a Candy Cane Carnage. There's only one that I don't know. Of course, first one, Jack Frost, 1997. We love that film. We've already watched Jack Frost 3 times this year.
I was going to say, who doesn't know about Jack Frost?
The next film is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. We know that one from 1987.
The other day I was emptying a bunch of garbage out from the upcoming gift shop out to Harney in the Hills, and I had a truck full of garbage. And Rebecca she goes, "Garbage Day." Oh, it was funny.
The next one is from 2005, Santa's Sleigh. I have seen this. It's a freaking blast. It stars Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus, but he's killing everybody.
I can't wait to see the shit we got. Can we open our motherfucking presents now?
Of course.
Go ahead, kids. Let's see what Santa got you.
Then Black Christmas from 2019. I'm not sure why that's on the list. The only one I didn't know was from 2017. It's called Red Christmas.
That doesn't ring a bell. The Candy Cane one didn't ring a bell either.
That was just the name of the article, Candy Cane Carnage.
Oh, I thought that was one of the movies.
I wish it was. That sounds like probably a better movie than Black Christmas remake. And then the last thing is, this is something that's on my radar and something we will probably talk about here in the next couple episodes. Iron Lung.
Yes, I saw the trailer. I'll go back to Boots again. She really wants to see this movie. I love the trailer because it gives you enough to you're like, ooh, but you really don't have a clue what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it's got roughly 40 million active subscribers on the YouTube channel for this person, and it just looks, I mean, you got to go watch this trailer. Maybe I can get it off the internet and share it, but it looks like a fucking blast.
It's dark, it's moody, it's atmospheric, and also it's one of those claustrophobic, at least from the footage I've seen in the trailer. It really plays into that fear of claustrophobia because I'm not claustrophobic and I don't necessarily pick up on those things right away. And right off the bat, I was like, ooh, tiny space, tight camera angles. It looks really good.
If you go to ihorror.com and you find the article, there is a link where you can find tickets for the film. It looks like they're shooting for January 30th of 2026 release with independent theaters. So this is something that I might have to go to either Burlington, the Capitol, or the Last Picture House and see. But I'm definitely interested in this one.
Yeah, I'm sure this will come up on our look ahead episode coming up here in a few episodes.
So what do you got?
Well, first of all, I got a few things. And like I say, this is all kind of horror adjacent. The first couple are horror, but it's still adjacent. And it is from ING.com, who talks about the horror anthology Creepshow gets a superhero flavored makeover. It says here the Creepshow franchise is certainly going strong through 2025. It says Shudder's streaming series just ended its successful 4-season run. I don't know about that because I think the 4th season ended like a year prior, but they are doing a spinoff, and it's not just any spinoff. It's going to have a superhero flavored anthology dubbed Super Creepshow. And it looks like issue number 1 is going to be available sometime next year. I'm going through the article right now and I don't see the specific date. Some of the images, and I'll share this to the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast Facebook page. Some of the images are very kind of Jokerish, very kind of superhero gothic type, aesthetic to them. And I thought maybe that's going to be it. But then I looked and there's also some normal Creepshow dark flavor there. So I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this. When you hear superhero, my brain went to cartoony and goofy, but no, this looks beautiful. There is some more Creepshow coming along the way.
Please, for the love of God, do not fuck up the Creepshow artwork. Anytime I'm out and about and I grab a Creepshow comic or a book, the artwork is absolutely stunning. Don't fuck around with that.
Well, and what I love about Creepshow, as far as the comic series, is it brings forth all these different styles of artwork. And even if they're kind of like the more cartoony, superhero, cheesy stuff, it still has this beautiful look to it, all these layers. And just based off what I saw in this article, which again, I'll share to our Facebook page, they're not stopping there. But it has my interest. What is going to make it superhero? So I'm definitely going to pick this one up. I mean, I was going to anyway, because it said Creepshow on it. Moving along in the comic world, this one comes from CBR, and it's talking about Rob Zombie talks to CBR about reimagining his 22-year-old cult classic horror, House of a Thousand Corpses, and it looks like they are going to put out a deluxe hardcover graphic novel for House of a Thousand Corpses. Again, I don't see a release date here. It's something that is going to be coming up soon. It does show an image of what appears to be like the cover of the graphic novel. It'll be fun. I'm curious what the artwork's going to look like because the cover looks kind of cheesy.
I ought to jump over this counter and bash your fucking balls in.
It almost looks like it's for little kids. But of course, you've got, the gore and the horror characters there. So what is it going to be like with the pages in between? I don't know.
You'll have to grab a copy and find out. That's how they get you.
Oh, wait. No, I do know. I never scrolled down. I'm looking at the article right now. And as I scroll, I see a couple snippets. I'll have to share this to the page too so you guys can see it. I didn't look at this before. It does still kind of have that same kind of sketchy, almost newspaper comic feel to it, but I see blood and guts in the first few images. And it looks like it's going to be just going through the original story. Hell, I don't know. House of a Thousand Corpses, love it. It was a game changer for me when I saw it. Very influential in the horror community, and for me specifically in haunted house designs. Maybe this will rekindle some fires here.
This is why the poor part of the show takes so long, because we start to show stuff and then we're like, oh, we're trying to read it, look at it, and we're like, oh, we're doing a podcast here. We got to get to the...
I know I'm Christmas shopping for myself as we're talking about the news, or actually I'm telling people what to get me for Christmas. So the last thing is, and this is free, and I shared this, Brian, I think you watched it. Go to YouTube. A guy named Isaac Garcia from Crispy Productions put out a short about the 2002, I think it was, video game masterpiece Manhunt for PlayStation 2. I love this game. I've talked about it before. It's the whole reason I bought a PS2. I'm really surprised that no one's taken it to the screen yet. This short, it embodies the spirit of the game so much. It's gory, it's offensive, it's fun, it's dark. I thought it went a little heavy on the VHS kind of filters and stuff like that, but still no complaint. It was so super cool. And it says that there's going to be, a sequel or continuation, which makes sense because the game was James Earl Cash, that character going through these quads of different gangs. And this one centers on just the skins. Such a great fucking watch. Go to YouTube, watch Manhunt.
I read a couple people say, or a couple of the comments in that YouTube video, and they're like, oh, they should get the guy that did Terrifier do that. And I think I said to you, I may have said it to Rod. I think I might have said it to both of you. For the love of fucking God, do not let him touch this series. I know people love Terrifier, but no. I don't need all this watered down shit story and all that. He can't edit it himself.
I don't have an issue with him as a filmmaker, and I like what he accomplished with Terrifier. And one thing I will say about him is he kind of reignited, or was a part of reigniting that fire of just gory, fun, almost senseless films. And then, yeah, we could talk for hours like we have before about how we don't necessarily care how he threw in all the story and mythology and stuff like that. But he's not the only director of modern times who can direct with gore. And I don't know why somebody would say that to bring him in, because Isaac Garcia, who I don't know anything about, I don't know if he has had any prior experience filmmaking. He had to have, based off what I saw. And the credits weren't amateur either. Such a faithful adaptation of the game. Why hand it off to somebody else just because they have a namesake? Let Isaac Garcia direct a feature. I would pay triple what they're charging just to watch it because it is so fucking amazing.
Well, and you may have another Terrifier series. You may talk about Damon Leone and Isaac Garcia. Now you have two people that are doing these kind of things. Don't hand it off to somebody else just because, like you said, they have a name. Let's continue to bring indie people along and get them to the big leagues.
No, and you and I, Brian, are fans of pro wrestling, and when I hear about people immediately bringing up that, well, give it to this guy, it makes me think of pro wrestling and veterans guarding their spots, and no, you need to bring in that up and coming talent, or you become stale. So, but regardless, go to YouTube. Tell us what you think. Did Isaac Garcia do a fantastic job? Send a message to ilikeitspookypod@gmail.com. Ding. Or any of our socials and just let us know what you think. Maybe I'm just nostalgic for the game, but I think it's fucking masterful. And like I said, I would pay triple what they would be charging to see it as a feature film. Yeah, I'm poor because I give money away like that because I get excited.
So on this episode of Poor, I bought plenty of stuff. Well, what I'm going to share was actually free other than 10 seconds of my time. Maybe 20, 30 seconds of my time.
That's too much.
I follow an artist, Mitch O'Connell. You remember Mitch? He was the next booth over from us at Flashback several years ago. His son won the costume contest. He was the brain that wouldn't die.
Yep, I remember.
He's doing a giveaway this month. He was giving away 10 boxes. So I jumped on the I Like Spooky page and was like, hey, cool stuff. He's like, guess what? You won. So I need to share some of this with you too, because the box is just fucking packed full of shit. But you can check out Mitch O'Connell's art at mitchoconnell.com. He's got an Instagram, but just packed full of stuff. Stickers. Are you beautiful? Not cool. I'm a monster kid. That's definitely one that you would love.
Yeah, I do like that.
Be cool. It's Jesus.
That's what I love too, is his artwork it's a wide range, but a lot of it makes me think. It goes back to our news segment we just talked about. Like, that's what everything you're flashing me right now is what I envision seeing in the Super Creep Show comic book.
Be kind of weird. I need to get this one to our friend Brian Hoover. Nazis. I hate those guys.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
And then a naked woman. Looks like a sketch drawing. So that's a one-of-a-kind sketch from him.
She's not naked. She had hosiery on.
Modern Man, the adult picture, and Cabaret, some old nudie cutie magazines.
Such a wide array of stuff there. That's weird.
Golden Box, which is a big poster, old paper poster that's humongous. Divine Doggy Doo-Doo. It's filthy. It's like the fake poop.
Oh, I get it. Divine. I see now. Okay. I was like, why did you get fake poop? I see now. Yeah.
Hi Weirdo by Aiden and Mitch O'Connell. It's a book. It's signed by his kid, and it's just cool artwork that says, Hi Weirdo. Every page is just different artwork.
Everything you're showing me, you can see the time and the labor and the love put in, and the talent too. This is exciting. I want that box.
Yeah, some cards, just a bunch of stuff. And then this is the big one. What's this stuck to the back? Oh, another Divine Doggy Doo-Doo, but no doo-doo. And this is the big thing. Mitch O'Connell, The World's Best Artist by Mitch O'Connell. And it's a coffee table book full of his artwork, which I love. I actually have a few small things, but just full of artwork, and just beautiful. It smells like he glued it himself. I'm sniffing glue over here. And that's not even half of the stuff that's in the friggin' box. He does a lot of vintage and thrifting. So there's these old dinosaur cards were in there. I could keep going on and on and on, but just I need to share some of it with you because Jesus fucking Christ, there's just so much shit in here.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff you've shown me so far, and it looks like you're digging through quite a bit more. I'm going to have to reach out to him specifically for that book and something that we'll talk about later when we talk about what the fuck is going on. You're going to have to share some images of some of this stuff so people can see what we're talking about because it is amazing.
Should send this, Rod, for my small but nice friend. Merry Christmas. And it's a little, see what it is?
I can't, I see a red dot. What is it?
It's a little condom.
Oh. Yeah, don't let Rod reproduce.
So just freaking awesome, and I'm still going through the box, and thank you, Mitch. And I'm going to do an unboxing kind of video for the podcast YouTube and TikTok page because it's just too cool not to share.
No, good. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because people need to see what you're showing me. It's amazing.
You remember he had the bumper stickers that had all the drive-in creatures on it, but that's a print that's not around any longer. So I'm like, damn it, because I would have grabbed that one. I love the drive-ins. I need to maybe eBay search and find one that somebody's selling.
Maybe if you talk to him, he'll whip another one up for triple the cost.
So what about you? Did you get anything?
Sticking with the horror adjacent theme, I got a few things here. And first, the most exciting and the biggest thing was Gigi Bannister posted the other day. Gigi Bannister, wife of Reggie Bannister from the Phantasm series. I'm going to read the little segment here. It's been 30 years since the induction of Reggie B and the Jizz Whalin' Ya Doggies and their Phantasmic Fool's Paradise electro rock album. Can you dig it?
I try to shine on, come whatever may. I try to give all to those who have the need. Some folks try harder just to plant another weed. And she does it real good. Yeah, she does it real good. And she does it real good. And she does it real good.
So Reggie Bannister decided to re-release 100 copies of the album for a 30th anniversary collection. It includes the original lyrics by Reggie Bannister and original liner notes by the late Angus Scrimm, the tall man himself. Personal message from Reggie himself, from the Reg Man himself. I grabbed one of these albums. I hopped right on there. They're $40. They're limited to 100. And I'm curious what the personal message is going to be. Not only was I interested, but also just because of what it was and the rarity of it and the limited of it. How do you say that? Limitedness of it? Yeah, that sounds right. But also it's because, I talked a few episodes ago, I've talked in the past about how I missed out on the opportunity to get his autograph, and I'm a fan of him and his character and his film work. So it was a way to, procure that as well. And also it supports them. Reggie's got, he's elder now, he's got medical issues, and him and Gigi do stuff like this. And then that's what they live off of, to the best of my knowledge, And so it's also supporting some great people. So I picked up one of those, like I say, $40. Go to Reggie Bannister's website, which I should have written down, and I do not have it. So I will have to share it when this episode comes out. I don't know if any of the albums are going to be left because it was limited to 100. I actually picked up a couple, and this was a week before this recording. So by the time you hear it, it's going to be 3 weeks out. If you get a chance, go check it out and see what you can find. Moving on, Brian, this is insane. On Facebook, a Redbubble, is that Redbubble? Yeah, a Redbubble, which is like an Etsy type shop, ad popped up on my feed, and it was this phone case, which is this really cool Soundwave phone case from Transformers, G1. God, I paid like $22 for this thing, and it's beautiful. The crazy story about this is I took a picture of it and just put it on my social media. And then in this Transformers group, I shared a picture of it. It said, transformed my phone with a new phone case. That was it. Within 10 hours, it had almost like 4,000 reactions, 42 shares. I can't tell you how many comments, and everybody was excited. It's trickled down, but or slowed down. But all these people are like, where do I get it? Where do I get it? Whoever the artist is that made this, I think I sent that artist a shit ton of business, because I just kept, anytime someone said, where do you get this? I'd post a link. And they're like, well, I want it for my Android. So I was like, he's got variations. And then it was like, what about Blaster? The Autobot radio. And so I was like, he's got that too. And it was just amazing. It got to the point where I was like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have shared this. I have to live my life. I can't be a beacon of information for people for the Transformers phone case. But yeah, horror adjacent. I got the Decepticon Soundwave phone case. This thing is awesome. And I think a bunch of other people are going to be having this as well. It also opened up my eyes to, and I'm sure our friend Jason Bollinger from Attack of the Killer podcast is aware of this because he's a huge Transformers collector, but there is this massive world of Transformer reissues of G1 figures going on right now. And a whole new world of me dropping my money if I wanted to. And then the last thing that is horror adjacent that I spent some money on this time is finally this episode, and by now because you clicked on it, this is the movie we've been talking about. KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. There's a whole backstory to trying to find this movie. It's not streaming anywhere. You can go on YouTube and see some really terrible visual quality snippets. There is on YouTube one playthrough of the original CBS airing, but it's in German. I think it's German. Brian, you reached out to our friend Justin Beam to see if he knew of anything. What was the backstory there? Something about Hanna-Barbera owns this, but no one knows who really does.
I know KISS hates this film, and we'll get more into that. It's one of those legalities. Who owns the music? Who owns the rights? Who owns this? Hanna-Barbera owns this part. Well, but this company owns this part, and this company owns this part. So kind of like with Friday the 13th thing, who owns it? Who really owns it? And is it worth going through all the legality to put it out? Is it going to make money? So is it kind of those things that's just like, fuck it. Just sweep it under the rug, and fans are just going to have to figure it out themselves.
Which is what happened. Because of that, I'm pretty sure the copies that I got were like a bootleg Blu-ray copy, but I found some on eBay. And so I paid some money to get a copy for myself and a copy that I sent to Brian. So there was money in shipping. And of course, they made a mistake, and the first two copies I got were of the last Black Sabbath concert that happened earlier this year. So I passed that off to Rob from Mad Ghoul Radio and his father. And then the company was cool, and they just sent me, I didn't have to return anything. They just sent me the KISS ones. And then again, I had to pay, shipping to get that shipped off to Brian. So probably the most expensive episode ever is KISS meets the Phantom of the Park, this episode, just so we could watch it. And then lo and behold, Brian's like, oh, I just found it for free on internet sleuth movie dot whatever. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Well, it's on the Internet Archive, which I can stream from my my phone, but I think you could never get it to run properly on your internet.
I tried it once when we did the Naked Lunch episode, God, a year or two ago, because that was another one that was super hard to find. And it buffered and it took forever. And I don't know if it's because I was trying to mirror to my TV, so I wasn't stuck to my phone. But I've never gone back and revisited that. I should, to see if it was that movie or if it was something else. I might have saved a bunch of money. But I don't know which copy of the film you watched, whether it was what I sent you or what you found on Internet Archive or both, but the quality might not have been that good. All I know is I am freaking poor from horror adjacent stuff, and mainly from getting the movie that we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
We should probably go to a sponsor or two or five.
Yeah, we'll line them up.
When the lights are low and the mall goes quiet, something spooky is waiting inside Country Square Treasures Craft and Gift Mall. Among handmade crafts, vintage finds, vinyls, collectibles, and forgotten relics, you'll discover the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast booth, a place for horror fans to shop creepy collectibles, artwork, physical media, and have conversations that crawl under your skin. Shop the treasures by day, then step into the shadows for something darker. Country Square Treasures, 1640 North Henderson Street in Galesburg, Illinois. Find the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast booth and follow them on Facebook if you dare. So now that we've heard from our sponsors, hopefully just one, it's time for the movie. KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. It's a long-ass name for a movie.
As much as we've talked about it and we've watched it, you can even hear it. What Brian just said, he had to turn away from the mic to make sure he was getting all, it's written down like KISS meets the Phantom of the Park. Someone pitched this as House of Wax meets Scooby-Doo on the set of Westworld while listening to KISS.
Unfortunately, all of those things were better than this movie.
So this is not the best movie in the world, but this is way better than what I thought it was going to be, in my opinion. We'll get into it. But so a while back, I was listening to a podcast, and I don't remember the podcast. This was like a year ago, but I remember it was an interview. Somebody was interviewing Gene Simmons from KISS, and it was like his entire backstory from, birth to where he's at now, which Gene's very wordy, almost pretentious. So it was a long podcast, but it was a very interesting backstory. And like I just told you, the backstory of how this episode came to be, both of those things are almost as amazing as the floating yellow ride cart in the opening sequence of this film. It was surreal. It was 70s.
Oh, it's definitely very 70s. As I've gotten older, I enjoy KISS's music more. I've never been really a big fan. And the weird thing is that started with a movie that, if you love this movie, it's not horror adjacent at all. But there's a movie with Paul Rudd called Role Models. Do you know this movie?
No,
and it's about these two guys that work for this energy drink company, and they wreck the big truck. Well, they get stuck being role models for these kids. And Stifler from American Pie, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's a big KISS fan, and so is Paul Rudd. And they work KISS into this whole damn movie. At one point, they dress up like KISS, and there's music, and it's all worked into this film. So that kind of started me liking KISS a little bit. I didn't hate this movie, but it's fun. It's gateway horror. Because was this made for adults even? Who's this made for?
By the time 1978 rolls around, which is when this film came out, this film will always be as old as Brian and myself. This aired October 2nd or 10th or something in October, and I think it was CBS in 1978. It was an attempt to cash in on KISS mania, because KISS was larger than life itself, especially at that time. So I don't think it was made for young people. I don't think it was made for old people. I think it was made for KISS fans, and I think it was made to cash in on their success.
Yeah, October 28, 1978. See, I had that it was originally premiered on NBC television in the U.S., and then it was released in Europe under a different name, Attack of the Phantoms.
Yeah, and that's where I think it got into some of the re-edits, which I'll get into also. Maybe I'm screwing up by saying CBS when I should have said NBC, one of the networks.
Yeah, one of the networks released it. And if you love this movie, I'm not trying to tell you to leave our podcast and go to listen to another podcast. You can do both. You can listen to us, and then you can go listen to our friend Justin Beam. He did a whole episode on this film that's 2 hours long. It just digs deeper than anything anybody will ever do. But he's worked with KISS and he's wrote for KISS and he's done stuff with KISS. So he's got insight to stuff that other people outside of him will never have.
So you'll have to send me a link or tell me where I can go. Was it on the Justin Beam Radio Hour?
Yeah, I was on his Just Meme Radio Hour.
I'll have to go back and look through his archive because I do like this movie enough, and I wasn't aware of that, so I'd love to hear some insight.
And it kind of gives you some insight into why the film is how it is. You know, why it's kind of quirky and weird, and why Gene Simmons, who's wordy, doesn't say a lot. He probably roars more than he does talks in the movie. You know, the goofy superpowers and the odd story. I think, like you said, they just threw this together and thought, KISS is the most popular band in the world right now. They're selling out arenas. Their merch is flying off shelves. We can spend 5-10 minutes and write a story, and as long as it has KISS in it, people are going to watch it.
If you think about it, it was great marketing on behalf of the network and KISS because, I mean, KISS, like I said, was so hot at the time. So there was like a guaranteed built-in audience that's going to tune in to, you know, we'll say NBC. And on the flip side of that, there are people who had not yet seen them in concert who could now see some performances because there's actually 3, not full, but rather lengthy KISS concerts woven into this story. And that might equate into ticket sales for people. Oh, this looks amazing. I got to go see this. So it was great marketing. The film cost, from what I found, $2 million to make in 1978, which was pretty high for a TV production for the time. To your point, it was the second highest rated TV movie of 1978. Now, I'm not sure what number 1 was. I looked a little bit and I kept coming up with movies, and I'm like, no, TV movies, I couldn't find it. But I can guarantee you that it wasn't the Star Wars Christmas special.
Most of it was shot at Six Flags Magic Mountain and in the Hollywood Hills. So if you see stuff in Magic Mountain that you want to check out, sell tickets for them too.
Yeah, it was a win-win-win.
Weird thing that never happened though, and I don't know, they never released a soundtrack for this.
I did find that they were actually going to, well, I guess they didn't release a soundtrack because they only play like 2 or 3 songs of their music. They were supposed to write a whole new set of songs for this film, but just time restraints, constraints didn't allow that.
If you go online, you can find some fan compiled soundtracks, and the European cut of this film actually had way more music. They performed more of their catalog, or it featured more of their music. So if you watch the European cut of the film, there's a ton of KISS music in that. I don't know if we'd ever be able to find it. Maybe that's what we have, because I feel like there was, other than performing, there was KISS sitting around singing Beth at one point.
The one that you and I watched, you and I both went to the right side of the case. There's 2 discs. One was a Blu-ray, one was a DVD. The one that Brian and I watched was, to the best of my knowledge, the original, I kept saying CBS, NBC airing of the film. On the left was the Blu-ray. I haven't watched the entire Blu-ray because I just haven't had time, but I did pop it in because I was trying to see if the ending was different or, whatever. If you get a chance, and we'll probably get into this in physical media releases, because in like 2017 or something, I thought I saw that there was a DVD release, which is probably the original airing. If you can get your hands on a Blu-ray copy, do so, because the little bit that I watched, not only was it extremely easier to watch, the visuals were clear, crisp, and bright. It was one of the first times that I really noticed a difference in a Blu-ray. I was like, oh, I see now. This is a whole new world. But also, they re-edited the film. I think I watched the first 20 minutes of the Blu-ray, and some sound effects that were kind of goofy in the original that I watched were taken out that didn't make sense. Some scenes were recut together, and I enjoyed how they recut them. They weren't so long. They made more sense. It flowed better. So definitely, if you're going to try to find this on physical media, try to get a Blu-ray, or like you say, the European one, which might be different than the original airing.
Well, on the disc that we watched, the sound was kind of wonky, kind of off, almost like a Japanese kaiju movie that they'd cut into English. I don't know if you noticed that a little bit in some parts.
I did. It was almost like someone had ripped this off a TV with a Betamax in 1978, and then it got transferred 6 times onto a DVD. So the quality wasn't the best, but you were able to see it and understand it. One of the things I didn't care about the copy that we watched is I wished when they got into the chamber Chamber of Horrors at Magic Mountain, which is this cool old school walk through haunted house thing. It was so dark. I could barely see what was going on. And of course, being a horror fan, I was like, ooh, they're in the Chamber of Horrors. This is going to be great. And I couldn't see shit. Go watch the Blu-ray because it is night and day. You'll get to see the life of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I guess we're 40 minutes into it, probably been talking about the film for, 15, 20 minutes, and we haven't talked about a synopsis. So if you don't know what this film's about, I'll give you a synopsis here. KISS.
They don't need a synopsis. It's about KISS meeting the Phantom at the park.
In this campy rock superhero film, KISS are not just a rock band. They each possess superpowers, and they perform a concert at an amusement park. Meanwhile, Abner Devereaux, an embedded engineer dumped from the park's management, schemes to unleash robotic clones and destroy the park and the band's concert. KISS must use their powers and rock and roll to save the day.
Oh, that'd be a great place to enter that song, like God Made Rock and Roll. God made rock and roll to you.
Yeah, but if we use any of KISS's music, we'll probably get it kicked off of everything and a cease and desist, and then this episode will be lost like this movie.
Especially since they don't like this movie, and they're going to be like, oh, we need to bury this podcast for even bringing this up. I think this movie should be embraced. Talking about that synopsis and the backstory, apparently this project was inspired by the KISS comic book published by Marvel, which showcased the band as teens, and in that comic book, that's what introduced the mythos of the talismans that gave him power. There was KISS everything, and there still is KISS everything. Socks, lunchboxes, Pez dispensers, coloring books. I mean, they really cashed in on what they had going on, which was powered by their music. So again, in this movie, you're going to get to see KISS in concert, a pretty decent stage show, I think 3 different times. And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, probably half or more of the PFPN was probably conceived at that concert.
Oh, at least half. I'd push up to 60, 70%.
But even though I said just a bit ago that it was the highest or second highest rated TV movie of 1978, in my opinion, even though I enjoyed this film, the acting was not. Paul Stanley in particular, I'm going to pick on Paul. His acting was worse than Brian if you were trying to read from a simple script. It was really, really bad.
The dialogue was weird. The acting was odd. The kung fu was really weird.
But that's also what gave it its 70s charm, too. Yeah. So it's like a double-edged sword. By today's standards, you're like, what is this fucking garbage? But you're like, oh, this is, like they said earlier, a fun, campy flick.
Finley was mesmerized by this film at points, and then she'd kind of leave, but she'd come back. It's got just enough of that campy. It's got a little sprinkle of the horror with the amusement park and the robots. Some mystery, but you know what's going on, but the characters in the film don't. And the music, of course, is fun. Tiffany's mom's actually visiting for the weekend because we have some Christmas stuff going on. And I said, "Did you ever see this?" And she said, "I went and seen that stupid movie in the theater." I was like, "What? They showed it at the theater?" Yeah, that's where I saw it. And I thought, for something from 1978 and this band to still be on everybody's radar, though. And it's still, like I said, Justin covered it. We're covering it. I've heard other people talk about it. There's this charm about this film that...
Yeah, good word.
At first, I was like, I'm not going to watch that again. And then I was like, just have it playing in the background or sit down one night and just put it in the Blu-ray because I need to see how the film is different.
I need to finish that. In fact, I probably will after this recording when I get some stuff done around the house because much better, much better. You're talking about the dialogue and the awkwardness. Apparently half the band didn't show up half the time, and a lot of their screen time was actually their stunt doubles, and a majority of Paul Stanley and Peter Criss's specifically dialogue was dubbed in. So that might be what gave it. It's kind of almost like watching a foreign film, dubbed. And it's like, we've talked about that before. I can't remember what movie it was, but I was like, the dialogue doesn't make much sense. But then I get it. It was an Italian movie that they tried to make American. I think it's when we were talking about, with the running zombies.
Nightmare City.
Yeah, I think it was Nightmare City that I said that it was like, it was weird. The translation, things got lost in translation.
They're a band. They're not actors.
Especially Paul Stanley. No.
Yeah, but you have to play to their strengths. You can't just give them weird lines and weird, like when the police show up because Gene supposedly has destroyed everything and beat up a couple of the officers. That whole thing was really weird, and Gene's growling, but Paul's talking, and just so odd. It felt to me like when they did the Scooby-Doo episode. That's what I was like, this is why Scooby-Doo, for them, worked so well when they did the Scooby-Doo episode with KISS.
A larger-than-life, cartoony,
yeah,
mesmerizing, yeah.
They probably spent more time writing that Scooby-Doo episode also.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to say this real quick because I keep bashing Paul Stanley, and I do want to say that even though I think he's a terrible actor, of course, he is an amazing musician. I don't hate Paul Stanley. Talking about some of the clunky dialogue, too, I found this. The writers followed KISS around for a while to get a feel for how they spoke, because a lot of their lines were given to them in the moment. Like, they had no idea. They just knew they were showing up in costume, and then they were given, okay, this is what you're going to say, go. But so the writers followed them around to get a feel for how they spoke, and Ace would only utter the word "awk," because throughout the movie, he keeps going "awk," like he's got Tourette's or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? Come to find out, he knew that the writers were trying to figure out how they spoke, so he was just being a dick. I was like, "awk," and so that's what they wrote down. So that's what he had to say. And I guess he was pissed when he saw the movie. He was like, "Wait, you actually put that in there?" No.
Yeah, I don't think they put much time into editing either.
Despite all of that, there is some really great acting in this film, and predominantly it's from all the mime work that various actors were playing as the robots, because there's a ton of different robots in this film, or they're supposed to be, and you can tell if you look that it's people, and they're doing this, mime robotic movement, and I thought it was all done really well.
There's a character actor in this film, and I should have looked up his name. He plays one of the police officers.
Yeah, so I have that down here. So I said noticeable actors are the park owner, played by Carmine Carmini, who he was in the Godfather movies and Money Pit. And this is who you're talking about. Brian, and he spells his name Brion, James. He was one of the security guards. He played the Iceman in the 48 Hours films. And he was in a ton of other projects, including the Hell Comes to Frogtown 2, Blade Runner, and another one of my all-time favorite films, Striking Distance. But he was like that guy who was in every 80s and 90s film.
I feel like he's in a horror film where he plays the main villain.
Yeah, I was looking for that in his credits and I couldn't find it. I must have overlooked it. But it was it the horror show? It was something about him being electrocuted, I think.
Was he Shocker?
No. That was, Mitch Pileggi.
You said Brian James? God, he's something.
He was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt. I know that.
Another 48 Hours, Fifth Element, House 3, which was...
House 3, that's what I'm thinking of, which was also called The Horror Show or something. It was one of those, it was almost like an Italian film. It had nothing to do with the House series, but they just called it House 3.
God, he's in Blade Runner, he's in Still Dawn, he's in Red Scorpion. God, yeah, it just goes on. Cherry 2000, I love that film. He was in that.
Oh, absolutely. If you're a fan of film, pick him out. I did right away. I was like, oh, there's that guy.
Scanner Cop, it goes on and on and on. Yeah, you'll pick him out right away. I did too. I was like, that guy looks familiar. And he was fun in the film. He
looked constipated the whole film. He just had that, like squinted eyes and his mouth is open the whole time. Like, oh, what the? I also thought the actor who played Sam in this movie, he reminded me of the kid from Laser Blast. I looked it up and they're not the same person. I thought it was.
Is it weird though that the Phantom wasn't dressed up? It was just the park guy, wasn't it? Like he never had like any kind of costume or anything. Wouldn't you think that you would?
When it's the Phantom, it should be some mystery or whatever. Yeah, and you as the viewer, you know what's going on the entire time. I still think it was a decent story though, but I don't quite understand. Early on, you see Devereaux, who is the disgruntled creator of the park. He doesn't run it, but he created all the rides, he created all the robots, and he seems to be this like scientific genius almost. Kind of like our last episode where we covered The Bride of Frankenstein, almost kind of like a Henry Frankenstein character. He wants to mad genius bring all this stuff to life. And he seems very disconnected from humanity. But there's a scene early on where he's walking and it's very robotic almost, but subtle. I guess I shouldn't say very, it was subtly robotic. And I thought, is this guy a robot? I don't know. And then when you jump to the very end of the movie, the ending of this movie is absolutely fucking terrible. It didn't make any fucking sense. It ruined it for me because I'm like, I don't understand what happened to Devereaux. Did he die? Was he a robot the whole time? I don't know.
the same thing. I was like, what the hell just happened to him? And Finley said, I don't know. And I said, well, I don't know either. Maybe somebody could explain that to us.
Yeah. Hey, Justin Beam. I'm going to go check out the episode, but if you're listening,
What the fuck happened?
Please give us some insight because I want to know what the hell was going on. Something that is cool, a couple little fun facts about this was the growl that Gene Simmons had. Later, it was used for Battle Cat's roar in He-Man, which makes sense because Hanna-Barbera owns both entities, or do they? Because no one knows who the hell owns KISS. Phantom of the Park.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird choice of a production company for this, Hanna-Barbera, because they're an animated film company, cartoons or such. So that makes me believe they leaned more into the PG, maybe teeny bopper. I mean, it was 1978, so most people listening to KISS were probably 18s, 20s, maybe even younger. Were kids listening to KISS back then? I mean, 12, 14?
Yeah. So this will get into recommendations too later, but Detroit Rock City, which is a great retelling of that time. The KISS Army, it ranged from 8-year-olds to 40-year-olds. They had such a huge fan base. With all the jumping conflict, though, because this film was full of jumping conflict and the terrible ending, it was fun. It was very KISS. It was very 70s, but I'm going back to the ending. A well-written ending must have suffered from the time constraints, much like what didn't allow them to make new music for this film, because everything flowed okay, it was all right, and then that ending was just terrible. One last piece of trivia that I found was one of the 3 biker gang members that caused trouble in the park early on in the beginning. They had a Satan's Mother's biker patch on the back of the vest, and that same patch was used for the gang of the same name in The Warriors from 1979.
All right now, for all you boppers out there in the big city, all you street people with an ear for the action, I've been asked to relay a request from the Gramercy Riffs. It's a special for the Warriors. That's that real live bunch from Coney, and I do mean the Warriors. Here's a hit with them in mind.
Which is a great fucking film. God, I love the Warriors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, you like the Warriors more than you like Kiss Meets a Phantom of the Park?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a ton more. Don't you?
I do. But let's hear your rating to see how much more you liked it.
I was at like a 5 for most of the morning. I just finished watching this before we recorded the podcast episode because The Phantom was fucking around. And like you said, this is the most effort we've probably put into finding a film and getting a film. So The Phantom wasn't at the park. He's at the U.S. Postal Service.
Oh, yeah, because that's the other part of the story. So they finally shipped me the Blu-rays, the right ones, and then so I got to get it out to Brian here as fast as I can so, it can line up with our recording time. And my life is so crazy with the UPS right now that all I'm doing is working and sleeping. This is like the only time I can record right now. And so sure as shit, it shows up the Monday prior to this recording. And that was the only day of the week the mail didn't get here till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So I couldn't get out the same day to ship it. So I got out Tuesday to ship it. I wasn't going to pay $35 to have it overnighted because I'm like, I've already spent enough money on this thing. So I did priority, said it'd be to you by Friday. I'm like, okay, that's enough time for him to watch it and us to record and everything. No, it didn't show up Friday. Somehow it got shipped to Missouri from Michigan, which if you don't know your geography is you go between Michigan and Illinois. Missouri's farther out. I think you finally got it yesterday, right?
Yeah, I got home last night we went up to the Botanical Gardens for the Krampus event, and it was on the table with other mail. So I had to watch it this morning because I was tired. We were gone all day yesterday. Missouri, it probably went to St. Louis, which is about 3.5, 4 hours past where it needed to go. Then I had to turn around and come back. So it went 8 hours out of the way before it got to me.
I was thinking I just could have drove it to your house and back faster. I don't know if it was the Phantom, if it was, KISS pulling strings behind the scenes to have this thing not talked about, if it was the God of Thunder himself. I don't fucking know. Despite all odds, we have covered this film.
I'm going to settle on a 6.5 out of 10. Weird Gene Simmons roars, and then he hands you a towel to wipe your brow. Was that the weirdest part of the whole fucking movie?
It was. They They were like superheroes, and they were just trying to help humanity. They were just good people who like to play music.
After the guy wipes his brow, he hands him the towel back, and then Gene says, "You're welcome."
Yeah, it was really awkward and weird. It was almost like they were trying to showcase that they're just normal people.
What about you?
Well, what's cosmic is we hit the same number. I put 6.5 cautionary tales of artificial intelligence out of 10. Now, I know this is like a super deep connect 6 dots type thing, but if you think about it, this movie is kind of relevant to today because AI and robots taking over and all of this stuff is very prevalent in the news. And that at the core is what this story was about, was Devereaux, the Phantom, wanted to take over the world with artificial intelligence and with robots and replace them with people because he had this disconnect from humanity. I think it's kind of timely if you really want to look deep and try to get analytical. At the end of the film, I did not want to give it the middle finger like some guy in the crowd did during one of the concerts. You could go watch that footage over and over, and I'm thinking, this is a made-for-TV at Magic Mountain movie in 1978, and they're panning the crowd, and there was one guy who was like, yeah, fuck you. I did not want to tell this movie to fuck off. 6.5. It's fun. I almost want to rate it higher. I am going to go watch it again, but I'm also not an idiot. This is not close to the best movie ever made, but I think everybody, especially KISS fans, even like new KISS fans who don't know about this, go watch it and just embrace all the campy, corny 70s KISS magic.
I have a coworker that's a big rock and roll music fan, and I'm going to see, I don't know if she owns a DVD player, but if she does, I'm going to let her borrow it and have her watch it because it's just fun. It's a throwback to the 70s. If you're a kid of the 70s, if you love 70s culture, just watch the film. It's a 96 minutes of your life. The music makes it worth it for me and the trip around the old amusement park. So I'll definitely watch it again.
And the Chamber of Horrors.
We got to go to the podcast network again.
Well, like I said, I think probably a lot of them were conceived at one of those 3 concerts. So this is kind of, maybe I should rate this lower because now they're here because of that concert. But then again, if they weren't here, would we be here?
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
So now that we've heard from our podcast network, it's time for some physical media releases. The original U.S. version, which aired on NBC, is rarely available in a truly official commercial release. Like you said, you couldn't find anything. The European theatrical version, KISS, and Attack of the Phantoms, is officially available via the box set Kissology Volume 2, 1978 to 1991. It was released August 14, 2007, which includes disc 1 of the set containing the movie.
Now that right there, when I was trying to find this, I think that's what I stumbled across, and it is not cheap, and I think it's because of its rarity.
I would imagine it's $100, a couple $100.
I can't remember it was hundreds, whether it was $250, $370, I don't remember, but it wasn't cheap.
The film was released on VHS in the U.S. via the distributor World Vision Home Video on October 21st, 1986. The Internet Archive one that I stumbled on was a VHS rip from Good Times Video. So I don't know if Good Times was part of the World Vision Home Video company. There was a Laserdisc that followed October 8th, 1992. I would imagine that's probably pretty pricey too, not because of watching it on the Laserdisc, but Laserdiscs have beautiful artwork, and a KISS collector would grab that up and probably frame it. On DVD, the only widely acknowledged official release is via the box set Kissology Volume 2. There are bootleg and semi-official DVDs, for example, a UK or region release via Cheesy Flicks, and that one was pulled due to legal issues.
I think it'll catch up to everybody. I mean, the place I got it from, which was on eBay, based off the price that I paid too. I mean, I think I paid like $40 for 2 copies. And I wasn't upset with what I got. You can just tell that they're bootlegs, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do if you want to try to see a film, you know?
Yeah. And of course, soundtracks. We talked about the soundtracks earlier in the podcast episode. There's some fan compiled ones, but there is no official release, although there was some talk of doing one at one point, and the European cut would be different because there's more KISS music in it. Yeah, I guess you could make your own playlist on Spotify or watch the movie and put the songs in there, but it's all stuff from their other albums, so it's not like you can't get the soundtrack.
There was the one song though where it was this is kind of a spoiler, but there's a robotic version of KISS playing at the 3rd concert trying to incite a riot, and that whole Tear It Down song, which is basically just repeat and tear it down over and over and over. I think that was for this movie. I don't think I've ever heard that anywhere else.
That's all they can come up with in the short time they had.
Tear it down, bam, bam, bam.
If you dig deep enough and far enough, you can find a copy of this film. Hopefully you don't have the issues we had, but you can find it.
And I actually suggest you do, because this is one of those films that, no, best film in the world? Absolutely not. Worth a watch? Yes.
This is, as far as I know, only one of 2 bootlegs I own, but Hamburger the Motion Picture, which was a 1980s HBO Skinamax kind of film, teeny bopper, but there's a legality with one of the songs, so they can't release it.
Almost any corner of almost every town, on every lonely highway you'll ever travel down, you're gonna find a burger shop, Americana, mom and pop. How long? There ain't no telling. And they've been out there selling hamburgers for America.
God, so stupid. Get your shit together, people.
What do you think? Should we do some recommendations?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what's going to be recommended with this.
Hopefully I do better. I feel like I've been doing a little bit better. So the first one from 1999, this is a film that you've already talked about, Detroit Rock City, a comedy about fans of KISS trying to make a concert. It's what it's about. It's about some young kids wanting to go to a KISS concert. From 1981, Heavy Metal.
Yeah. That's all I got is yeah.
Yeah, it's an animated rock fantasy full of pulp monsters, music, and cult appeal.
And it very much embraces that 70s, late 70s, early 80s feel. You know, they did the sequel to Heavy Metal 2000, which I remember I watched, and I remember I didn't care for. And I don't remember any of it.
From 2006, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
You know, I've never seen that, but that sounds like fun. I could see that pairing with this movie.
Yeah, a rock band adventure film, comedic with supernatural villainy and over-the-top rock heroism. From 1990, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
I don't think that pairs with this, but that is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I think that movie it's often overlooked. I love that movie.
Do you? Okay, well, I add that to the list for the other podcast. From 1975, The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I could see this in a double bill.
I mean, everybody should know what Rocky Horror Picture Show is about. From 1980, this one doesn't really, well, maybe, yeah, kind of. Flash Gordon. It's got that science fiction-y, rock and roll, futuristic kind of.
I'll give you that.
From 1979, this one probably doesn't pair well with it, The Warriors, but it links to it.
Yeah, you got the same patch, and it's around the same time.
From 2015, Scooby-Doo and KISS, Rock and Roll Mystery.
Absolutely, definitely.
Mystery Inc. gang teams with KISS at a theme park to stop an evil plan involving alternate dimensions and rock power. From 1979, Rock and Roll High School. You know that film?
Yeah. I've seen that movie a couple times. Yeah, it's got the same kind of spirit to it.
At a high school where students love rock more than rules, the punk band The Ramones help a student-led revolt against the tyrannical principal.
Yeah, the more I think about it, this is a very similar movie.
And then from 1974, Phantom of the Paradise.
I don't know what that is.
a rock horror musical film by Brian De Palma. A naive singer-songwriter is betrayed by his record producer and returns in a monstrous persona to reclaim his music and exact revenge.
That sounds interesting. And that sounds like it opens up the door to a whole bunch of recommendations of early 80s horror rock, Trick or Treat or Rocktober Blood or what was the Black Roses. There's two that I want to throw in for recommendations for Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, and they're kind of stretches. Maybe I have Brian-itis here, but one is Dazed and Confused, which is not similar to this movie, but it is as far as that nostalgic. I love Dazed and Confused. I think everybody loves Dazed and Confused. I actually get sad when I watch Dazed and Confused because although I grew up as a teen in the early to mid 90s, a lot of the same things that, were done in the 70s, we still cruised the Ave and had parties at the Moon Tower and stuff like that. Very similar as far as that nostalgic feel of the 70s. And the other one, which is kind of a stretch, is Jaws 3. Just because Jaws 3 takes place at a theme park as well, like a SeaWorld type place. And so you get a lot of those similar scenes of large crowds doing things at the theme park.
Well, I think the other one is a huge stretch. It's not similar, but if you love Kiss and you love Kiss Meets the Phantom, you're going to like Role Models.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
I think we look at it from two different angles too. I'm recommending films that I think if you like this film, you will like these and are similar. I think you're looking at it from, well, that's not like that film.
Actually, all the ones that you've rattled off, this recommendations have been kind of on the money. So,
oh, well, shit. I'll get back to failing next episode.
Well, for this one, we'll give you an A+. It's Christmas time. It's like Christmas Story. Ralphie gets an A+++++++.
Next episode, I'll be sure to shoot my eye out. Now, what are we doing? We've talked more about stuff that's horror adjacent or not horror at all than we have horror movies this episode.
Well, you got to do that every once in a while, so we can broaden ourselves to the masses. And one of the things we try to do to broaden ourselves to the masses is rattle on about our own shit, like people actually even give a shit. What the fuck is going on?
This episode drops December 21st, so the week before Christmas. I don't think I have absolutely anything going on unless I can make it to the Capitol Theater on that Friday, the 26th in Burlington, Iowa, for the 3-movie horror-a-thon that they're doing. Friday at 7 o'clock. I hope to make it. Of course, it's going to family stuff and the weather. It's winter. We live in the Midwest. We are snowed in. It's cold. It's perfect time to revisit movies or visit movies that you haven't seen. That's about the only good thing about being snowed in is you can watch movies. I've been doing that. I'm going to try to make Silent Night, Deadly Night, the new one. I'm sure there's some other horror stuff that's coming out that isn't on my radar. Yeah, I don't really have anything going on.
Speaking of horror adjacent, December 10th, which is before this episode comes out, there's a new SpongeBob movie coming out, and it's a lot about the Flying Dutchman, but it's voiced by somebody different.
Well, the Flying Dutchman's a ghost.
Right, but he's voiced by, I can't remember the guy's name, but you would know him. The Flying Dutchman is voiced by somebody different, so it's kind of weird.
I'm sure Finley and I will go see that. Tiffany hates SpongeBob, so
really,
she will not go to the movies for that. Yeah,
Why?
She's a teacher, and it makes kids dumb, is what she says.
Oh.
And I was like, I hate to tell you, but they were dumb before SpongeBob. You ever met kids?
SpongeBob does not make kids stupid. SpongeBob is one of the wittiest, most well-written cartoons ever.
Maybe I should put on Ren and Stimpy for her and see how she feels about that.
That's even better.
Yeah, I know.
And then make her watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Yeah.
So what do you got going on? Anything?
All I have is stuff going on. So, recently, earlier this year, the UPS center that I worked at closed down. UPS was consolidating 10 to 20% of their centers and expenses and stuff. So I got moved down to Adrian, Michigan. And I've said this down there to their faces, so I don't mind saying it on the air. I like the people there. I have more heat than I did in Jackson, but that place is ran so half-assed. It is so inefficient. Literally all I'm doing right now is working and sleeping. This is the only day I could record this. I'm making great money, so I cannot complain on that front, but I am working extremely harder than I did in Jackson doing the same, if not less work. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. And so I'm not just bitching. I'm actually trying to offer some suggestions like, why don't we try this? Well, can we try it that way? You know, this and that. But so that's a lot of what I got going on right now is that just work. On top of that, I am working on the very little time I do have remodeling the bathrooms at psychotherapy in an effort to get that place open in the spring. That's one of the big things that needed to be done out there. So I'm not going to get into all the boring details about that. But last episode, I talked about dropping something else that I'm doing out there. I've already posted this in the social media, but I've yet to post the fun and exciting part of it. So you're going to have to listen to the show to find out. Haunting in the Hills. You've heard me talk about it a gajillion times. It's a massive complex, 23 plus acres. One of the attractions at Haunting in the Hills is the Train Car of Terror. One of the cool things about the Train Car of Terror is it used to be Dwight D. Eisenhower's train car. So it's got some historical significance. Because of that, I actually wish that it wasn't just a haunted walkthrough. I have bigger plans for it in the future to bring it back to some of its glory, which I won't get into now. But Haunting in the Hills used to be Stagecoach Stop, which used to be a roadside attraction. There's a building down there that I'm converting into a gift shop. I think years ago it used to be one, and then it became an escape room for a while. Well, I'm going to turn it back into a gift shop, Gruesome Gifts. Gruesome Gifts is going to be, the goal is to be stocked full of, it'll be a storefront for inkmirrors.com, but I want it to be chock full of local and artists abroad. Things like Mitch that you showed me all that stuff earlier that he had. I want his stuff there. I want Ted's gumball machines there. I want Brian Hoover's art there. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. So we know so many great artists, and it's all going to be horror themed. But I also want to reach out and have it be a storefront for boutique video labels, something to where you don't have to go to the convention or you don't have to be a subscriber. You can come into this old school video store aesthetic and get the latest copy of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park that just got re-released by Arrow because it was covered in the I Like a Spooky Horror podcast, and now there's a giant outpour for the movie. The other cool component to this, the Train Car of Terror. This place used to be a roadside attraction. This is a huge summer tourist area. So along with the gift shop, which will be open most of the year, the train car is going to be open as well for that roadside stop. So you can come in with your kids, you can come in on a date, you can come in whatever, you can visit the gift shop, you can get some concessions, you can shop artists, you can get cool shit you can't see anywhere else, you can take a trip through the train car, which for me is full circle. Because that's how I started my haunted house stuff, was up in Houghton Lake, Michigan, a roadside tourist area haunted house. That's what started it all for me. So that's what I'm really working on right now, is getting that ready to hopefully open by May.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm excited to help you in the little ways that I can make this a success.
Then that means you can buy me a KISS pinball machine, because I'd love to have one there, but those fucking things are expensive.
Pinball machines in general are expensive now.
Can we insert like another round of sponsors right now?
Yeah, everything's expensive right now, but to have a place in Michigan to visit and go through a haunt and go through a haunted house and go through the Train Car of Terror and go through the gift shop and see all these local artists, or, you know, artists that from all over the country. It's just something that I think we all want as fans of physical media and horror films and pop culture. We just all want that place local. I think we all crave that, because a lot of us don't have that. The ones that do are very lucky. I don't here.
I think local is the key word. Yeah, because there's a lot of great horror and boutique shops, Screamers Costumes in Clinton Township, which have actually just moved. And they're going to be having an event coming up around Valentine's Day, which I'm waiting to hear the details on that with some more celebrities, I think. But the horror house in Chicago, what I always forget about it, but the place by where your son lives, we do this every time. Not Foolish Mortals.
Ghoulish Mortals.
There's great shops all over the place. One of the things that I'm excited about with Gruesome Gifts and the train car is not only is it, like you say, something local for around here, another spot, but it's also another part of bringing back the Irish Hills, because what's cool is when I go to Screamers Costumes, I drive an hour and a half, almost 2 hours to Screamers, and then I'll go to Weirdsville since they're close. And then that's it. You go to Gruesome Gifts, there's great restaurants right there. There's the Putt Putt place right there. There's Grams Fudge. There's MIS, which usually has their nightlight stuff going on Christmas or Halloween time. There's antique shops. There's the state park. It's a great tourist area. There's ice cream shops. There's walking trails. There's Mystery Hill. There's campgrounds. There's so much, so you can really come and make it like a destination. And this is just another component in everything that we're trying to do out there to make it a destination for sure.
I was just sitting here thinking we have several friends that are authors. I mean, Brian Clark, Justin's an author, Brett Royer's an author. There'll be books there, hopefully, and records. And
way ahead of you, my friend. I got a list.
It's not just going to be figures and stuff that you can find at Walmart. It's going to be everything you probably can't find at Walmart.
No, the focus and what I want to focus on is things that you can't find. Will those things be present? Yes. If you're going to go to a horror gift shop, there should be a NECA figure of the Phantom from Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. But no, there's the stuff that you just cannot find anywhere will be there.
Your hard work in my household does not go unnoticed. We know how hard you work, and we're thankful for every opportunity you've given us as a family. Just come. I said that some other day. I'm being mushy, but I said I love going to Michigan because I have family there. It's not friends, it's family. I have family in Michigan. And before this podcast, me and you, I couldn't have said that. We have family there.
Oh, stop it. I'm getting misty.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.